time's the charm, right? So 3 days straight of Jessica. Okay, I guess I'm going to start. So today I'm going to speak about my passion, which rhymes with passion and fashion, right? So I want to say that BuDhaGirl started this, actually the fashion conversation for the University of North Texas for trying to educate the new generation of designers and fashion industry workers. So I'd like to say that it's not a coincidence that I'm talking about this today. Just in the last 2 months, I've come across some real kind of key determinants of how fashion will change. One is, I was in London at the VA, and they had an exhibit in fashion about fashion, nature, and sustainability. And then just, I'm going to say 10 days ago, while I was relaxing at the Divine Le Fay in Lago di Garda, I met one of the resident doctors who just happened to write 2 books on the body. And one is called Being the Body, and the other one is called Thinking with the Body. And guess what? Both of them revolve and have a big influence on fashion. And then, again, I was at a summit in Chamonix a few weeks ago, and a wonderful woman who is the chair of the Giving Women's Conference that's taking place next week in Geneva said, you know what our theme is? Women's fashion, friend or foe. So clearly what I'm saying, the conversation is really saying, can the current state of the fashion industry continue? And, you know, is it time to make fashion safe, clean, sustainable, intelligent, healing, beautiful, and still fashionable? As in any process, you know, there's some clear steps that, you know, create a garment. And these are the clearly demarcated steps. You know, how do we design, make, care, acquire, and discard? So one of the things that when we look at all this, the new way of thinking might be, can we make fashion that is aesthetically pleasurable, environmentally sustainable, and here's the new one, neurologically sustainable? Okay? Let's begin with design. And I think this is a really big one. Can we change the focus of how the designers are educated? Before, you know, a fashion designer was this mercurial kind of personality, very, very much driven by media and by publicity. And I think we need to create some new standards, and really those standards are going to be created through new value systems, all right? So certainly I think education plays a big part in new design. And I posit that I think any designer who puts something on paper that is really wonderful should go and see how it's made, should go see how it's sourced, to see how the logistics of, you know, production end up eventually to the consumer, and then decide whether they really want to take what's on paper and bring it to market. So I think that's an interesting thing. I also think that it's time to look at us as individuals and enhance our bodies rather than demean it. And I think fashion for a long time has driven people to look a certain way. And even though it doesn't make them feel really good, they think that you look good, but inside you don't feel good. So I think enhancing, not demeaning. And then transcending trends, and I want to talk about that later, and that affects my company directly, BuDhaGirl. I think it's a very important part. And honor localities. I mean, we should really start thinking about producing fashion in respective countries. It's a little bit like farm to table, a little bit like that for fashion as well. Make. Okay. So the way we were asking for standards and maybe new concepts for design, standards for suppliers. And This is a really perilous topic. It's like, it's a little bit of like what I would call the fashion mafia. I mean, it's a big industry. It's a $2.4 trillion industry, and it's growing at 5.5% annually. It is becoming the world's 7th largest economy. So it's a serious business. You know, every country in the world is touched by fashion, and every living human will also be exposed to it. And there's no pun in the exposed part, but that we're all going to be reflected and touched by it. So, do we need new standards for manufacturing? You know, certainly we've heard about ethical work and, you know, how employees in the fashion industry are treated. Again, I think employees and staffs are much more inspired when they have skin in the game, and that their designs and what they're created has a certain source of locality, utilizing their local resources. And then, you know, zero toxic chemicals. That's a real, like, dream, but I think we can get there. And intelligent textiles, and those are, you know, St. DuPont many years ago did a test with fabrics that could be man-made, cellulose-based, so plant-based, but that were intelligent, so they would contract when the weather was cold and expand when the weather was warm. So I think that that's going to be the next revolution, that technology will, in fashion, will, you know, progress to that. Okay, discard. How many of you have a closet full of stuff that you wear every day? Every day, right? You buy this stuff, you say, I'm going to wear it, and you know, you walk in and you purchase the next thing, and your closet is just about to burst. And then you say, well, what do I do with it? You know, think about what you do with clothes you don't use anymore. So, hand-me-downs, I mean, that's kind of becoming a little bit humble. Would we ever consider wearing something that somebody else wore? You know, it's kind of funny, you know. Families in the past, they had kids, you know, the oldest kid, then, you know, it progressed to the youngest. You know, the sweaters weren't thrown away. So that's an interesting thing. Do we always have to be in style? Do we always have to have the latest, you know, thing on our body? I don't know. Should we consider a single occasion library? And that, what I'm referring to that is, you know, the weddings, the big parties, the one-in-a-lifetime kind of events where we spend almost, you know, much more money than what we would spend on our daily clothes. So maybe getting a single occasion library where we could, you know, have a membership and ask for a garment. Rebates, you know, can we give rebates to people who bring their clothes back that are gently worn and that can be recycled? Can we break down textiles? Right now, that's one of the biggest things. Landfills are just packed full of things, of old clothes and trimmings. You know, we refer to trimmings as zippers, buttons, things that are not fabric-based, and it's just, they're very junky. And can we destroy this by chemically, you know, destruction where we're not harming the environment? So, care. This is another big one. So, can we have self-cleaning garments? Using minimum water, organic detergents, no chemical solvents, and the dry cleaning business is a huge business. I don't have global statistics, but as far as care, it is a $10 billion industry in the US. So it's a serious business. And we need to decide how that industry is going to continue. And baby programs. Baby programs, you know, we go through a lot of washing for babies, so we need to change that whole concept. All right, and how do we acquire? And this is where everybody in this room, can impact the fashion industry. The other slides were more for, I think, fashion workers and people that are really involved in the industry. But do we need to redefine luxury? What is the new status symbol? Is less more? Can we have attainable wellness fashion? And can we have wellness rewards through fashion? So those are the questions that I think we really need to think of as far as our acquisition of fashion. So the future, okay? The future is really exciting, and I posit the following. I think luxury fashion at the very top end, the Gucci's, the Louis Vuittons, the Pradas, are going to be really bespoke brands, right? We all know what the price points of those brands are, and I think that if somebody's willing to pay in the thousands, $4,000 for a handbag, that they will pay $6,500 for that handbag that has the following: precise coloring, in the case of a garment, precise sizing, and preferred features. And I think you're going to see that more and more in the big global brands. And there's, of course, the global brands, but you're going to have local brands. And can we have same production values? Local resources, like I mentioned previously. This is one that I love, the revival of arts and crafts and techniques. I think it's beautiful. Identifiable locales. Can we, buy through fashion and through our garments, show that they're from a particular area? And mentoring versus competition. Can the big guys stop outpricing the little guy? Obviously, they have, farther reach. They can buy fabric and everything for less price, and they outprice the local designer and the local fashion manufacturer. So they have to. Can they mentor versus compete? That's a question that we need to ask. And standards, again, it has to do with how it's made. What is it made for? How long will it last? I mean, do we really need fashion changing? Sometimes there's collections that come out 8 times a year. I don't think we need that. Recyclable fiber fittings and trimmings, and grading standards for the expanding market size. So Catherine was just talking about the Chinese market. I mean, we have to not tackle the fashion industry as just a global. We really need to look at those niche markets and see where we can apply standards for those markets. This is my favorite slide. This is, I think, what the new future of fashion is going to be. It's the new paradigms of fashion. So it's kind of what I've gone through: design, production, purchase, delivery, upkeep, return, recycle. Can we do all that with our phones? And yes, we can. So, can you order your garment? Can you say, I want that garment produced in this manner? Can I purchase it so that, FedEx is not sending it to you, overnight internationally? Can you decide, what you want to spend for upkeep? I mean, we all think we buy the $50 blouse, and then next thing you know, you're paying, $200 to keep it clean. So, again, recycle, and then can we redeliver it? And to end, what can we do today? And, if you haven't figured this out, I'm a doer, right? So everyone here has the power to do this. What I call showcasing your temple. What are your values? Is fashion just I have to put some clothes on my body? Looking at the stylish crowd, I don't think so. I think you guys have actually put some thought into that. Are you unique? Is being unique an important part of who you are, and is that a part of your fashion journey? And do you just cover your body, or is fashion a form of your expression? Now here's a big one. Do you favor quantity versus quality? And do you think that paying bottom dollar for an item is wise? I mean, what is your value system? Would you rather have less and have somebody, actually make a decent living? Do you care how, where, and where your clothes are made? And here's the big one. Do you find joy in dressing? I mean, who has fun with it? Does everybody enjoy it, or do you just, throw it, slap on whatever you want every day? No, we have fun with it. So next time you purchase an item of clothing and you think about these things, you will make the right choice. And again, I I'm passionate about this business, but I do want to see it change because it can't continue the way it is. And it's been so much fun talking about it. Thank you.